2 minutes. Hannah Looney with a lovely score for Cork equalising. A minute later, Carrie Dolan free had put Galway ahead before Emma Murphy, the wing half forward for Cork, equalised. And I have Bevan Bodrin of Waterford in studio with me. Is that a fair penalty for Cork, do you reckon? It looked like I don't know if there was much in the tackle, but obviously the referee has a better view than I did. Maybe the hurl came in a little bit, but it all happened so quickly.
Yeah, I suppose I'd agree now. I think I'd say it's more the hurl now than the tackle itself. The physicality, I'd say, is definitely the hurley. But Aoife O'Donoghue won't want to be on a yellow card this early, and Galway won't want a yellow card this early either. So
she has been given the caution.
10 minutes.
So that's an early yellow card in an All-Ireland final, and certainly not something you want to see from a Galway perspective. But it's Cork 2 points, Galway 2 points, and we'll just stick with this for the penalty because the referee has given it, in fairness, and it's approaching 10 minutes gone in the All-Ireland Senior Camogie final. As we said, Laois beat Armagh earlier in the Premier Junior final, and then Offaly beat Kerry by 3 points in the intermediate decider. I'm just trying to see who's sitting this for Cork.
Katrina Mackey.
It is, yeah. So this is a big one early doors. We know Cork love a goal, and this is an early opportunity to get one on the scoreboard for them, for Cork. So we'll see. It's Mackey who steps up, and it's been saved, and it's gone out for the 65. So it's that's a let off for Galway. And look, I know you're a defender. It was a little bit of a potentially soft foul for the build up to that one, but either way, Mackey's missed the penalty, and it remains Cork 2 points, Galway 2 points.
Definitely, and I think that's going to affect Cork now as well, that they're after missing a goal this early on. But there's no doubt that Sarah Healy's, her confidence has been shook from the semi-final when she left in the goal. That would be considered a soft enough goal, I suppose, but not knocking Karen Kennedy either. But yeah, definitely now Galway would be delighted with this now. Yeah, no doubt, absolutely. Cork 2 points, Galway 2 points, 10 minutes on the watch. Let's break away to rugby, because we have, of course, reaction from Ireland's defeat to Canada yesterday in the Rugby World Cup warm-up game against Canada up in Belfast. Finished Ireland 26, Canada 47. And after the game, Will O'Callaghan, for Off the Ball, spoke to the Irish head coach Scott Beamond.
First and foremost, this stage of going into a World Cup, you want to come out of these games intact. You want your players okay, and we've come out of that relatively intact. So I'm delighted about that. The work that we've done in the build up to this has prepared us well for a test against a World Cup contender. Learnings from it. Absolutely. Look, there's a bit of a breeze here today, so there's always going to be points within that breeze. But there's a learning piece around how we control momentum in the first half when you're playing into it. You look at momentum in the middle of the pitch that Canada managed to win, and then that gives penalties, it gives entries into a 22, and they're a good team in that. They're a good team when they get those entries. So look, that told on the scoreboard in the first half. The second half, with good half-time chat around what it would look like and what it could look like, and fair play to the players. They've come out and delivered against what gaining momentum looked like, and then the penalty count swung the other way. It started to come more for us. Now, I think we're probably a little bit unlucky to not get the yellow card reciprocated in the first half. We gave away a run of penalties and ended up with somebody in the bin, and that didn't work the other way in the second half with the same number of penalties. So that can happen. We'll keep going after the bits that we can control, which is how we get momentum, and then execute and finishing it off when we get the chance.
It was almost the opposite of the England game in Six Nations earlier this year, where you were with England for about 40-45 minutes and then they pulled away. Today it was kind of the opposite. Canada kind of went away and then you guys fought back. Is that a good sign that against the top two teams in the world you can be thereabouts for 50 odd minutes and kind of put that performance together?
It's a fair point. And when we look at these games, we talk about performance momentum and time spent with either putting the opposition under pressure and how many moments you can put together. So if you look at the first half against England, we probably absorbed a reasonable amount of pressure, but never let England get their game going. Today we weren't able to get that momentum on Canada, and they got their game going. So therefore it sort of changed the second half. You can't sit and build defensive pressure against a team when you're a good few points down. So we had to go after offensive momentum. I'm really proud with how the girls got us on the front foot. The kicking, obviously with a little bit of breeze behind you, becomes easier. The kick sprints, energy came off the bench and lifted the game. So there's kind of two elements of learning. First is the first half, the start of the game, and how you can stay in control with your kick and your kick sprint and getting your moments when you need to. And the second bit is when you start to build territory and position pressure, how you can maximise more from that.
Yeah, the Ireland head coach Scott Beeman there speaking to Stephen Kisby-Green for Off the Ball at the game up in Belfast yesterday. We'll get over to Fiona Hayes very shortly to reflect on that one, but there's been a goal in the All-Ireland Senior Camogie final, just over 14 minutes on the clock. Cork versus Galway. Dublin's Aisling Maher is there with Tommy Rooney. Tommy, what's going on?
Shane, welcome back to Croke Park. It is 14 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock. Cork 4 points, Galway 1-3, and they have a free here as well, Galway, in a very scoreable position, so a chance to go 3 points clear. Aisling Maher, what a start to this game, and what a start in particular by Aoife Donoghue from Galway.
Yeah, absolutely. End-to-end stuff so far. Really entertaining game. Exactly the start that Galway wanted, and probably the start the neutrals wanted Galway to get, to make sure it was an exciting encounter. Aoife Donoghue, like you mentioned, 2 points from play, a wide, a foul that led to a penalty, but the penalty was saved, and an assist then for a goal for Galway, which was scored by Mairead Dillon. So a really exhilarating first 15 minutes, and hopefully plenty more to come. Yeah,
it's been brilliant so far, Shane. Kerry Dolan has just converted that free, so that's 1-4 to Galway, 4 points to Cork, as Galway force another turnover in the Cork defence. Cork actually just get away with it, and now they're on the attack themselves, and it's Aisling Thompson breaking through the middle of the field, being harried and hassled by the Galway defence. Emma Murphy has a chance now to pull the trigger. Is she about to get her second point of the game? She is not. That is just trailed wide. So back to you, Shane. 15 minutes on the clock, halfway through the first half. Galway with the perfect start here, 1-4 to 4 points ahead.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks very much. Tommy Rooney with us there alongside Aisling Maher of Dublin. We have Waterford's Bevan Bodrin in studio as well, watching this one. Cork 4 points, Galway 1-4. 15 minutes on the watch. We'll be back over to the guys for further updates very shortly. But it is time to turn our attention back to rugby, because, as I said, Ireland 26, Canada 47 was the full-time score in the Women's Rugby World Cup warm-up match up in Belfast yesterday. Fiona Hayes was there, and she joined us on the show. Fiona, how are things?
I'm good, Shane. Not too bad at all.
Excellent. So you were up at this game yesterday, and look, Canada are the second-ranked team in the world. It was always going to be a tough encounter. 7 tries to 4, ultimately. A difficult game for Scott Beeman's side, and yet a result you probably would have expected, and a stern test ahead of the World Cup as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think these girls need that as well. You know, you can have a couple of easy games in a lead up to World Cup, and then you go in and you play the big teams like New Zealand, and it's an awful shock. So Canada are an absolute superb outfit, really physically dominant, but their skills and their backline attack is super as well. A lot of these girls actually play over in the Premiership, and they've moved over in the last couple of seasons, so they go over and have a lot of rugby behind them, and certainly would be World Cup contenders in my opinion. So how the game started, I suppose, and ended at the very start of the game, I was very, very nervy. If you look back at the scores, and even I suppose on 55 minutes it was 40 points to 7, but brilliant from Ireland in that second half. They got 19 points after that, and the momentum, the confidence, everything started to grow. And although Scotland scored right on the buzzer, I think for that second half, Scott alluded to it, for that second half, sometimes going into World Cup, and it's the second half is the better game of rugby that you've played, it's a little boost for the squad going into that.
Yeah, the second half, certainly things picked up. And I know, look, obviously even the team, there was 10 changes made to the win over Scotland the weekend before, so you're obviously going to have a little bit of jumpiness from some players, and no one wants to get injured. But second half, if we focus on the positives first, certainly was a better showing.
Yeah, definitely. And look, he talked about the wind. Scott chatted about the wind, and I thought the game management in the first half probably was a little bit off. Yes, Ireland like to kick. We know that. Dana O'Brien has one of the better boots I've seen in women's rugby, and she's getting better and better with that. But Scotland actually defended really well. And I was commentating on it, and I couldn't believe at times they had 4 people in the backfield, and we were still kicking to them, and they were just counter-attack. Ireland couldn't hold on to the ball when they the Canadian defence was so good that they were stopping Ireland at the gain line. There was no post contact meters, therefore we were just kicking it back to them. So I think in that second half there was almost a shift with a little bit of wind, but also Ireland holding on to the ball, getting over the gain line. You know, the set piece went really well in that second half in particular. The scrum really stood up. They were able to get the angles that they needed to attack, and just I think that first try absolutely and Anna McGann scored 2-1. The second one was an absolutely unbelievable try. But it's mad that such a small bit of confidence like that, when you put those phases in, how you can attack out wide, they started to grow in confidence and held onto the ball and really showed that this backline can do damage. Our back three, be it Parsons, whoever's there. I spoke about Anna McGann. She had a great game. That's Amy Lee Costigan not even being on the pitch. So we have danger people. And I think in that second half, Shane, they started to get the ball and we could see that out wide we can do massive damage.
Yeah, like Anna McGann's second try, for anyone who hasn't seen it, so it was her second try. I think it's her fifth try for Ireland, but just incredible, Fiona, wasn't it? She takes that pop pass from Claire Bowles and bursts through, I think, 3 or 4 Canadian defenders and just puts it down. It was just an amazing finish.
Yeah, it was. I was up doing comms and I was almost standing on my seat. I could see her bursting through the little gap. And, you know, Anna, I've seen Anna play over the years. She's played 10, she's played flanker, she's played in a lot of positions. But certainly I think this wing position coming in on the back of the Six Nations, she's really put her hand up to be a starter in this World Cup. And it's her footwork around that area that impressed me so much. It's a wander try, but, you know, you might say Canada missed a couple of tackles, but if you look at it closely, it's her arm fence, her footwork, her ability to see that space and attack it. So she's someone, you can see she was absolutely delighted, but to watch her in person up close, it was just an immense try for Ireland, and it just lifted everybody else around them as well.
What were the other positives? I suppose I know Sam Monaghan obviously came in, the captain for the second half, and added a bit as well. It's some strong carries from Grace Moore and Eve O'Dowd throughout the game as well. But a few other positives, I guess, to pick up on.
Yeah, look, I think the set pieces improved massively. I think they're up around maybe 92%. It was only one line out they lost. The scrum, I think they gave away one scrum penalty, but this Canadian outfit, even the girls on the bench that came on from Canada have been in 2 previous World Cups already. So if you look at our squad compared to those props, for the girls to go out and be able to sustain that pressure at scrum time, their body form, shape, everything. It took a couple of scrums to get into it, but I think the set piece in general, they'll be very, very happy with that. They disrupted a lot of Canadian ball at line at time as well. And if your set piece is functioning, and I suppose we've seen that the attack is somewhere they can, if they can get the ball wide, if they can find a space, they have the ability to score. So we know those are 2 positives. Just on the back, I suppose, of that first half, you'd be a little bit worried around the penalty count. And I suppose there was 35 missed tackles in the game. So the defence, compared to when they played England in that big game like they chatted about, it was a little bit different. And how they started was a little slower. So I think that's an area they'll need to work on, but certainly so many positives.
Yeah, the missed tackles is one that you mentioned, and like the unforced errors as well. Even at one point, Dan O'Brien missing touch from the kick, and the indiscipline, I suppose. I think there was 11 penalties conceded, for example, in the first half. Like, just little tweaks there that I suppose Scott Beeman will really hone in on now over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and look, and a lot of those penalties, I suppose, were interpretation. It's frustrating for a coach. You know, I think there was a couple of times you might have thought it was a turnover. So it's a piece, and he spoke about the referee as well after the game. You know, he was looking for obviously another yellow card, but it's a piece. You work so hard in training. When I'm coaching, it's around the laws of the game and you're working to the letter of the law, but mid-game that goes all out the window, especially if the referee has a different interpretation, be it at scrum time, be it at breakdown. And I think they struggled around the breakdown in releasing, in falling into tackles and rolling away. So that's something they can easily work on in the next week. But it is an area, I suppose, as a coach, it would be concerning that it wasn't able to be done in that instance. but certainly the second half much improved. And you spoke about Sam Monaghan and even her leadership coming on in that second half. She played maybe 26 minutes against Scotland because she's just back from injury. I thought she was an absolute workhorse for the whole second half as well. So he's going to take great positives on his bench coming on and making a big difference as well.
Were you surprised at all by the choice of opponents? I know obviously this all is politics and administration that goes on behind the scenes, but managers, some of them like to pick opposition where you're guaranteed a win and a bit of confidence heading in. Scott Beeman was very quick to point out after the game, we wanted a high stakes challenge and gave us the opportunity to learn. So can you understand why they opted for such a strong opposition, I guess?
I can understand it. I wouldn't like it myself going into a World Cup. But as I said, they had the ability to turn it around in the second half, but it was touch and go there for a while. If you're coming out at the back of that and, you're I suppose 40 points down to 7 and they kick on and you're looking at a 50, 60 point scoreline and then you're heading off to World Cup. I mean, that can hit a squad hard, but I feel on the back of WXV1 and how they've played against the big teams, that he knew that this group in particular needed that big hit out, needed that, and they did have the ability, as I said, to put scores. I watched USA against Canada last week. I've watched England. They're very, very hard to score against, and Ireland were able to score 4 tries against them, and it wasn't pick and goes. It was literally creative, finding that space and attacking that space. So it was kind of, before the game, I was wondering, Scotland, I understand. I thought, you might give yourself a nice run out against an easier team. But after the game, everyone's injury free. And I felt like there was a big boost because you're looking at these Canadians thinking they are up there with the best. And we're not very, very far off.
I suppose the competition for places is something that Anna McGann mentioned after the game as well. And regardless of injuries, and there are a couple of players absent, but the competition for places in a number of areas, it seems fairly strong, Fiona, at this stage.
Yeah, and that's what's good. I mean, I think the squad's released tomorrow. I'd say they know a week ago, to be honest with you. They do know who's made that World Cup squad, because it's not a matter of it going out to the media and then you're reading it in the paper that you're staying at home. But certainly, I think around the back row in particular, a couple of, you talk about competition for places. That's what you want. So you want, be it that 32 going over, all competing, and a chance of everyone being able to do that. That last World Cup, pre-World Cup, that Ireland didn't qualify, you were so worried about positions. If someone was injured, you're in big trouble. But I think the standard and the girls that have come in and played, especially in these last 2 games, they've lifted that competition amongst the squad. We spoke about Anna McGann. If you're looking at the sevens or individual ability, you would almost say Emily Murphy-Crowe, Bevan Parsons, they're your 2 wingers, they're so fast. But Anna McGann's after throwing a spanner into the works there, and she did in the Six Nations as well by playing so well. So there is competition amongst the group, but it's that healthy type as well. And I spoke about the back row. I mean, we've lost probably, I know Aoife Wafer will probably be named and she will go, but we probably won't see her in the first couple of games. If you look at Aoife Wafer, Erin King, Dorothy Wall, I mean, they're probably 3 of one of the best back rows, around at the time. They're absolutely superb players. So to lose that and still be really competitive in the last 2 games in that back row, I think is really good.
Yeah, and obviously Adele McMahon not used in either warm-up game either. She recovers from that knee injury. There's a little moment where Brittany Hogan is withdrawn a few minutes after she gets attention for an injury. And Scott Beeman, I think, afterwards said she's absolutely fine. But there are little nervy moments like that, and that's what these warm-up games are. That you just don't want players getting injured, and that's the stress, I suppose, for players, management, and fans, I suppose.
Yeah, look, and I mean, I think I was chatting to Del McMahon. I think she's good to go. It's more kind of, I suppose, just protecting her, especially if there's been such an array of injuries. And it's her leadership as well. Those girls were leaders on the pitch, especially, Dorothy Wall. She's someone who's been around the squad for a while. So they have to protect that side of things, and you don't take the risks there. I remember you speak about that. I'll never forget it. Thank God it wasn't me, but I remember we were playing our last warm-up game before the World Cup in France, and a player was cleaning or going in for a poach and got her whole hamstring ripped off her bone. So she was actually on her way to the World Cup, squad picked. I think we were flying out 2 days, and that dream was over, done and dusted. And yes, I know you don't go into games thinking about that, but when it comes to that final game before you get on the plane, it's certainly a little bit nervy around. Yes, you want to play and you want to put in a performance, but there's got to be, especially in management, there's got to be something in the back of your head where you have to risk assess things as well.
As you say, Scott Beeman will name this 32-player squad tomorrow, where they'll face Japan, Spain and New Zealand. The first game, of course, is against Japan in Northampton on the 24th of August. As you say, Fiona, these players will already know the identity of all the players who are travelling to this World Cup. But it still must be a special moment when you get that call and you're told that you're heading to the World Cup. And especially, if you know teammates or friends who are maybe on the edge of getting picked or not, and they get the positive call, it must be a lovely thing.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable, and it's even more so for the families. I know when we went to France, just from my own experience, that you could see how happy all the families were there, and it's almost a relief for everyone around the player, because you can imagine how stressed they are in the weeks in the lead up to that. But yeah, look, it's something special to be picked for a World Cup squad. Whatever happens over there, you're always going to be part of that group, and getting to go over and play those, say, 3, 4, 5 games, whatever it ends up being, is something magical. And it's even now, my own World Cup group, there's always different things that's happening, or you still feel connected to those people, and it's a long time ago. So it's exciting for them, and I suppose on the back of those 2 games as well, they'll know that in New Zealand is obviously the big one, but they'll have 2 good games of rugby as well to get a little bit of squad rotation in as well, and having beaten the All Blacks, it's got to be a confident group going over there.
The fixtures that I mentioned, so obviously 1 week after the next, so Sunday the 24th of August, as I said, in Northampton against Japan, the following Sunday again in Northampton against Spain, and then the following Sunday in Brighton, Ireland against New Zealand. The fixtures have fallen, it's fair to say, quite nicely, I suppose, for this Irish team, in that they're in Northampton for the first couple of games, and I suppose the level of difficulty goes up a notch each game.
Yeah, look, definitely. And Japan are a very, very strong outfit, and they won't be underestimating them. But personally, the format has changed this time. So we now know there's quarterfinals. It's not straight semi-finals in the Women's World Cup. So if you can win the first 2 games, you're probably going into that All Blacks game. There's pressure. Obviously, you want to win it, but there's also a little bit of pressure off, and you can go out and throw the ball around, because if you win those 2 games, you're guaranteed making a quarterfinal. You always want to top the group, but I think the way it's fallen as well, and that Spain game in particular, whether it happens or not, it might give you a chance to reshuffle a few players around. Having started your strongest team against Japan, you've got Spain, then you can reshuffle things and have things really freshened up for that New Zealand game on the 3rd week. If
you had to call how Ireland are going to do at the World Cup at this juncture, Fiona, I know there's still a couple of weeks to go, but how do you see the whole campaign going?
I think it's going to... I've had this discussion a few times with people. I think they'll probably qualify second. They'll make the quarterfinals, and they'll end up playing France. I firmly believe that they can beat France, but it would be injury dependent on what's happened beforehand. I spoke about, obviously, there is competition for places, but we, as a nation, obviously have a couple of spots that if there is injury there, maybe the people coming in haven't played a lot of rugby, so I would worry about a couple of things, but I think this group will definitely make a quarter-final.
Okay, looking forward to it. Whetted the appetite nicely. Fiona, brilliant stuff as always. Thanks a million for jumping on.
Cheers, lads. Thanks a million.
Great stuff. Fiona Hayes with us there, reflecting on Ireland's defeat to Canada in Belfast yesterday in that World Cup warm-up match. It finished Ireland 26, Canada 47. Approaching half-time in the All-Ireland Senior Camogie final between Cork and Galway. Dublin's Aisling Maher is there alongside Tommy Rooney for us. Tommy, how are things now?
Shane, a lot of drama here in Croke Park. It is the 32nd minute. There's 2 minutes of added time. Galway are leading by 5 points at the moment, 1-9 to 7 points. But Aisling Maher, I think we're after seeing a pretty crucial moment in this game there. Hannah Looney, one of the Cork leaders, is after being sent off for a collision on the sideline. She's in bits there. We can see it on the replay on the sideline herself. She seemed to get a little bit of a nudge from Carrie Dolan, and she reacted with a kind of a high challenge. And the referee, Justin Heffernan, had no doubt about it. He sent her off straight away.
Yeah, we were